Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and today I want to talk about ethics and responsibility and quality when it comes to mediumship. So for those of you who work in the realm of mediumship or seeking to develop mediumship, this video is for you. Um, as a working medium, I've been working for about 11 years now. Um, I've learned a lot in my time doing the work. I've learned the right way, and I've learned from doing things the wrong way. And it's my sincere hope, by sharing not only what I've learned, but also what I've learned in a backwards way, that some people on a similar path won't make the same mistakes. As a medium, and as someone who identifies as a spiritualist, it's very frustrating for me, some of the things that I see in the world of mediumship today. And I know a lot of people, especially the old timers, have a belief that quality mediumship is diminishing. And the fact of the matter is, I don't think there are less people on the planet today who have the same capability for the level of talent that some of the old mediums have. I think what we have is laziness. I think we have um, a lot of shortcuts through the New Age kind of approach, and I think that the sensationalism aspect of spirit communication has cultivated a whole generation of um, want to be celebrity mediums, and that's not the point of this work at all. Not to say that you shouldn't enjoy and have your success if it comes to you, but that's not the objective. The objective is to be of service. So these are just a few things that I've witnessed or observed that I want to share in regards to developing your mediumship and maintaining integrity in your mediumship. So the first thing is, within the past 10 years, mediumship has kind of resurged in popularity, and as a result of this, there have been a lot of pop-up courses, there have been a lot of weekend certifications, there have been a lot of online courses, and the fact of the matter is, your mediumship is not going to develop at the quality that it could by doing a weekend workshop. You know, there are some people who have a natural talent for mediumship, and then there are other people who have to work at it in the development of any potential mediumship that's there. And we tend to see either one or the other these days. But I don't think one or the other is better, because there are still flawed aspects that can come from both. Sometimes with people who are natural mediums who don't have any formal training or background, they may have an amazing talent, but there are certain things that can't be learned um, without taking the time to do so, such as presentation, such as the ethics, which we're going to talk more about, such as building a strong foundation to be able to maintain links over time so that the quality of your mediumship doesn't waver and go up and down as drastically. And then you have the other side of maybe people who didn't necessarily have this amazing ability to start with, but they nurtured something that was there and they learned and developed. But even then, I think the best mediums come from those who are a mixture of both. Those who may have that natural talent or ability already there, but who seek the proper development and training and discipline to refine that natural talent. That's where the excellent mediums come from. That's not to say that you can't become that, because I do believe that you have to work hard at it. You have to keep yourself sharp. You have to, be in alignment. But a lot of these courses that have popped up, it's a weekend certification, a level 1, a level 2, a level 3. Well, mediumship doesn't work that way. The spirit world doesn't work that way. Yes, I have nothing against classes, because, we all have different paths to learning. But to me, true, authentic, dazzling mediumship comes from those who come from a home circle, or come from those who sit in a development circle of some sort. Now, I know, because I grew up without a circle. I've been sitting in circle for about 5 years. But I didn't have that as a resource because of where I grew up and the religion of my town and things of that nature. But even then, I would encourage you to develop a circle, or at least sit on your own, in your power, in your development, every single day, and be consistent with that to build the power that you need to sustain your link with spirit for quality mediumship. For quality mediumship to come through, because I see a lot of shitty mediumship, to be quite frank. And I realize we all have our good days and our bad days. But if you are consistently unable to provide evidence, you're not a quality medium. I think one of the things that I've noticed is that in American mediumship, we're kind of lazy, and it tends to be very evidence light, message heavy. But evidence is the crux of it all, because without sufficient evidence that lets the sitter know, like, yes, this person is connecting with my spirit loved one, all the messages in the world don't amount to anything. Adversely, I have a lot of friends who have trained in the English style of mediumship, and I really enjoy the English style of mediumship, but sometimes I find that to be a little bit on the rigid side and maybe evidence heavy and message light. And I think there needs to be a good balance of quality on both sides of that. So if you can find a spiritual church, find a development circle, and sit for as long as you can. You shouldn't want, on the night of circle, you shouldn't want to be anywhere else but sitting with spirit and being in the power and presence of spirit. So, don't run out and hang your shingle right off the bat. It takes years to refine your gift. And I think one of my biggest pet peeves is people start working publicly way before they're ready, and that is a huge contributor to the lack of quality in mediumship today. The other thing that really irritates me, that I think is a personal responsibility of mediums, is to constantly push yourself further. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine at Camp Chesterfield, and I said, why do you think there are these mediums who are older now, as most of the resident spiritualist mediums and any camp is? Why do you think that their abilities have faded as they got older? Do you think it's a part of the aging process? And he shared with me something that I absolutely agree with, and it's that oftentimes, it doesn't have to be the case, but oftentimes we become complacent in our mediumship. And as we grow and change and shifts to our vibration take place, but we don't adapt that to our way of working because we're set in our own way of working, then we lose that clarity in our connection. But if we are constantly open to new ways of working, if we're constantly pushing ourselves, if we're moving with the change of energy, if we're keeping up and being conscious and aware of those vibrational changes, we're always able to work with that new level or that new state of being. And yes, sometimes there's physical components to mediumship, such as the glandular system in the body, and sometimes certain aspects of the work, like trance, can take a toll on the physical body, especially if done incorrectly or if there are poor lifestyle choices around that. But for the most part, I don't think the gift has to fade as we get older. And anything, I think the closer that we get towards that point that we call death and those elderly years, the stronger our connection to spirit actually has the potential to be, because we're closer to that source. The next thing is something that irritates me to no end, and it's become much more popular since the television show Long Island Medium. And nothing against Teresa, because I love her and I think she's great, but people knock off approaching strangers. Stop with the street readings. You're not David Blaine. You're not the Long Island Medium. It's not appropriate and it's not professional, and I don't care. I will argue that point until I'm blue in the face. There are some people that say, well, I just have to. I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. And I say that's bullshit. That's your ego. People who approach people in public or can't feel like they can go anywhere without giving a message. That's about you. That's not about spirit. That's about the praise you're getting. That's about feeling special. That's about your own self-worth. That's a codependent pattern, but that's not about spirit. You know, uh, so stop it. So knock it off. Spirit will bring people to you who are supposed to come to you. You do not need to approach them on the street, and chances are if you're doing that, then you're not, tuning in and tuning out, or opening up and shutting down, and you'll eventually lead yourself to burnout. So stop the street reading. Please, for the love of God, stop. Another thing that I think is a tricky area, and this is why knowing yourself is so important, is we often interject our own stuff into our mediumship. And at the end of the day, we have to realize people have free will. And even if grandma says you should marry the doctor and not the carpenter, that's your choice and that's grandma's opinion. And you should not pressure your clients to do what you think they should do or their spirit loved ones think they should do. You're simply there to give the message. What they do with it is their journey. Um, that being said, too, you should not be nurturing dependency. I don't know how many people I've seen constantly keep their clients coming back for more. And if you need to have more than one session at a reasonable amount of time, that's fine. But as mediums, as clairvoyants, as healers, we're supposed to empower people to live empowered for themselves, not nurture a dependency. So, um, you know, people are coming to you because for every little whim that they have, you're disempowering them and you're not only disrespecting spirit, but you're dishonoring their spirit and you're disrespecting your own spirit because you're out of integrity at that point. And sometimes for people who are very sensitive, they can lack assertiveness and it's hard to say no, but you have to enforce those boundaries and do what's in the best interest of the client, even if it's not what they want. Now, I see a lot of people who use the title of mediumship or medium who I do not think should. Just because you have had an occasional experience in your readings where you've maybe connected or hit on a loved one doesn't mean you're a medium and you're good to go. It means you have mediumship potential and you need to work at it and strengthen it and become proficient in it before you start branding yourself as a medium. And it's often those same people who are calling themselves mediums who are using tarot cards and, you know, angel oracles and, all sorts of other things, dice and, whatever. The fact of the matter is, while those things like cards and divination tools in and of themselves are wonderful, and they can be great psychic practices, and they can be a great psychic tool, as a medium, you should not be working with tools. As a medium, if you can't do your readings without tarot cards, then you're not connecting with spirit, and you shouldn't be calling yourself a medium. So chuck the tools, because everything that you need is inside you. And if you don't feel that way, then you need to work on your confidence and get back into a circle and focus on your self-development before you start branding yourself and putting yourself out as a medium to the public. I think a lot of us need to work honestly and walk our self-talk. It's easy to tell other people what guidance is coming through, and it's easy to ignore the guidance that comes to us for ourselves. And as humans, we always have our flaws, and we're always going to have the issues that we could do better at, and we're always going to have things that we know that we should do, but we can't quite seem to do it, or can't quite seem to make the change. But you at least need to be making a conscious effort, because if you're not in balance or alignment for the most part, as much as any human can be, then you really have no business being a channel for any other person. And that goes for psychic or mediumship alike. A couple other things. You do not need to be altered to do this work, and you should not be altered chemically in any way when you're doing this work. There are some people, it's funny to me, a lot of the old mediums were alcoholics because obviously it takes the edge off and our mouths become loose and we just, we don't maybe think as much or at least have as much of a censor if we're altered or intoxicated. But ultimately that creates really energetically blurred boundaries and it's not healthy for the medium at all. And I think that we become dependent on that, and that diminishes our quality and our natural day-to-day sober state. So if you're intoxicated, then you do not need to be reading for someone, and that's any sort of drugs or alcohol in any way. Adversely, the person that you're reading for should not be intoxicated in any way. Think of your energy and that person's energy like water. And if one of you is a dirty fish tank and you mix that dirty fish tank water with your water, you're coming away dirty. And I like to work from a very energetically clean place. So keep that in mind with who you're reading for. And always, too, we should remain confidential. We should remain confidential with our clients. And you should treat your clients as such. It's easy for that line between client and friend to blur, and it's important not to allow that to happen, and not share the details of that person's reading. Sometimes we might say, oh, I read for this person or so and so. I've been guilty of that. That's not even something that we should do, because no one should know that that person's coming to you. That in itself is a breach of confidentiality. People come to you with matters of a very sensitive nature, and it's the utmost honor to do the work that we do. And so we should do such with reverence. There's a statement that I heard one time at Camp Chesterfield. I think that's where I heard it. And it's something that stuck with me, and I think about it a lot. It's, you've been given the authority to speak for spirit, so speak for spirit with authority. And part of that means if you don't feel comfortable, if you're not confident, and if you're not capable, then wait till you get to that place to do it. Because as I said, it's an honor to do mediumship work. It's an honor to be a spiritualist and to act from a place where you're not ready, or to act from a place that lacks confidence, or to act from a fear-based place. It doesn't honor you, and it doesn't honor spirit, and it certainly doesn't serve the person that you're working for. So there's a ton of different things that I could talk about. Those are just a few things that are on the top of my head. But ultimately, do the work. Do the self-work. That is the most important thing. And be open to spirit. Be open to spirit's guidance. It's wonderful that this teacher and this medium and this book and this author says that, but at the end of the day, you have to rely upon spirit as your main source and spirit as your main teacher. And if you do that, you can't go wrong. So if there's something you want to add, feel free to drop a comment below. If there's something you disagree with, that's perfectly okay too. I can't say that I'll entertain you back or, debate with you, but I'm definitely, as always, open to other opinions and other experiences. So it's a beautiful day. I hope you get outside and enjoy it and spend some time connecting with your own spirit. Thanks, guys.